Thank you very much. Any comments or questions for the city manager? All right. We're now ready to move to agenda item 10, which is community forum. This is a time that is set aside to hear from anyone in the community who would like to address the mayor and council. It is, we limit the time to 3 minutes each, please, so that each one has enough time. And we have a list in front of us tonight. For those who didn't sign up in advance but still want to speak, we'll get to you right after the list. First on the list tonight is Neva Kleinman, to be followed by the Reverend Maynard Moore and Larry Sherman. Welcome. If you'd like to turn the mic back towards you, that'd be great. Thank you.
Hello. My name is Neva Brenner-Klayman. I'm the eldest daughter of Rabbi Dr. Reeve Brenner. I am an attorney and a social worker. I am currently working as a pediatric social worker at a children's rehab center in New York. I have 2 sisters. My youngest sister is a rabbi in Israel, and my other sister lives in Cleveland and is also a member of the board of the National Association for Recreational Equality. We all grew up in Israel, where my father was publishing poetry while researching and writing his classic award-winning book on the Holocaust, The Faith and Doubt of Holocaust Survivors. At the same time, he had begun to redesign the game of basketball. The article in Sports Illustrated explained how this happened. My dad's cousin Janice had landed in a wheelchair after a terrible accident. His cousin Janice had been his childhood friend, and for her and for other people with physical or other challenges, my dad created bankshot basketball with help from a grant from Thompson Medical. After a great deal of experimentation, the Soldiers' House for Wounded Warriors and Combat Disabled in Tel Aviv received my father's first bankshot system as part of a grant. Then, another bankshot was built for the Children's Village exhibition and several others in Israel, all with grants from Thompson Medical. Then the Israel National Museum in Jerusalem displayed and exhibited the bankboards that he had designed as wall hangings and outdoor sports structures, which eventually led to bankshot being exhibited at the Memphis Children's Museum, the Boston Children's Museum, several science museums, and many schools and camps and neighborhood parks in the United States and in Israel and in Europe. In 1981, my father was invited to officiate at a wedding in Florida. He happened to drive by a water park, so he dropped a photograph of bankshot into their mail slot, which led to the first bankshot court in the United States. Then the owner of a fun center in Indiana chanced upon this new sport, and soon enough, a number of for-profit fun centers were placing bankshot courts alongside their miniature golf courses and getting out the word that neighbors with different abilities can also come to the fun center for an appropriately accessible and inclusionary attraction which bankshot provides. My father, Rabbi Brenner, did not create bankshot for a few fun centers. Bankshot was created as a recreational sport rather than a competitive sport. It is a sport without opponents necessary and therefore immediately inclusive by individuals with different abilities, for walk-on integration, appropriate for parks, schools, camps, and for what my dad calls our shared commons. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Brenner, to be followed by Mark Rose and Dr. Daniel Hack.
And attorneys need 3 minutes. Rabbis need 20. And that's just to clear our throats. So I don't know how you're keeping me to 3 minutes. But I thank you. I take this forum as an occasion on behalf of the National Association for Recreation Equality to call attention to the fact that April is also Autism Awareness Month. Okay? We said it has to do with another month too. But at the same time, I'd like to take this an occasion to call attention to what we are all about and what is the fundamental purpose and mission of the National Association for Recreational Equality, and how our association connects to next month's autism awareness. You also see why we undertake particular advocacy for non-contact, non-collision, non-competitive, or self-competitive recreational sports, such as bankshot, bowling, golf, and sadly no others. There should be many others, which is what we advocate at NAIR. NAIR and the Bankshot organization are Rockville-based. The board is composed of rabbis, priests, and ministers. Reverend Maiden Moore is here with us tonight. 3 attorneys, all of them here this evening: Larry Sherman, Richard Schimmel, Neva Clayman, also social workers, again my daughter Neva Clayman, and other advocates of what we call alongside play, self-competitive participation, play without rivals to defeat, without opponent competition, no one excluded, no one marginalized, play alongside others rather than against others. I hope you'll remember that part. The consequences are far-reaching, and inclusion, pluralism, and diversity are realized that way. Our organization came about by taking note of the shortcomings and the missing recreational facilities for individuals with autism and others who are differently able. In this connection, I like to call the following anonymous quotation from the internet. Here's the quotation. Question: what's the best sport for a child with autism? Answer: autism does impair social and communication skills and may have a negative impact on motor coordination. That means typical team sports such as soccer, basketball, baseball, football, kickball, and other team sports may not be appropriate, but independent, individual sports without opponents are just, quote, may be just the ticket, end quote. In some ways, I'd like to suggest that this represent a kind of summation of the philosophy of the National Association for Recreational Equality. We would like to see ball-playing sports, and they get the most money, they get the largest budget, the most space, the most attention. So these sports should be self-competitive without rivals to defeat. And that's why we endorse bankshot sports, and why we'd like to see a greater balance between sports with teams and sports that are self-competitive, so that the community of the differently able can also be accommodated in our shared commons. Thanks for your attention. Appreciate that.
Thank you very much. Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Richard Schimmel. You don't need to know anything else about me except that I'm a member of the Board of Directors of the National Association of Recreational Equality, whose mission is to energize urban communities in Montgomery County by fulfilling the recreational needs of those who are physically and cognitively challenged. One effective means of fulfilling those needs is to build more bankshot basketball facilities in the city of Rockville and to properly maintain the facility that currently exists at King Farm. The success of bankshot basketball is clear. There is a 21-station bankshot court at the Children's Museum of Memphis and at the Boston Children's Museum, a 19-station bankshot play court for wounded war veterans at Joint Base Anacostia Bowling in the District of Columbia and the Navy Recreation Center in Hawaii, a new bankshot court at the Faison Center for Autistic Children in Richmond, Virginia, and the Phoenix Center in Nutley, New Jersey. There are parks in numerous cities throughout the United States and abroad. It's in 3 cities in New Zealand, 5 cities in Israel, 2 cities in Germany, and parks in Guam, Korea, and Kuwait. And there are refurbished courts, by the way, the same age as what was the Rockville Swim Center court in Manassas, Virginia, Glenville, New York, and Pinellas, Florida. But the city of Rockville has not adequately met the recreational needs of those with physical and mental challenges. The suggestion that atypical individuals have, quote, myriad choices and options, end quote, in Montgomery County and the city of Rockville is simply not true. People with disabilities do not have recreational facilities available to be included with non-disabled individuals on the playing fields of these jurisdictions. The end result has been exclusion, marginalization, and segregation of those on various levels of the autism spectrum and those who are wheelchair-bound or possess limited mobility. The Rockville Recreational Guide provides no reference or guidance to such individuals to seek out and use its facilities. The proposition we advance at the National Association for Recreational Equality calls for total mixed sports diversity based on universal design. The correct models are facilities such as swimming pools and bowling alleys and golf, where the emphasis is on individual achievement rather than competition. It is a basic reality that the physically and mentally disabled either cannot or will not compete in sports such as soccer, tennis, basketball, baseball, and football. We need more facilities that allow the able-bodied and the disabled to play together, side by side, in a non-competitive atmosphere on the closest thing to a level playing field that we can provide. That is what true accessibility is all about. That is what true integration is all about. That is what inclusion is all about. If our goal is to create a society in the true sense of that word, then Rockville's recreational priorities need to shift in this direction. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I skipped the cane, and that is not part of the pitch.
Just please don't fall.
My name is Larry Sherman. I'm a resident of Rockville, a licensed attorney in the state of Maryland and the District of Columbia, and I'm the general counsel of the National Association for Recreational Equality, NARE. Another acronym, Dad. I'm serving in a pro bono capacity. NARE has been around for about 30 years or more, and it's advocated at all times the adoption of sports that are individualized and non-aggressive. No bodily contact, quite different than what we're used to. NARE, these sports embrace companionable participation and try to ratchet down violence. We endorse integration of recreational, self-competitive, non-competitive sports, little duplicative, in the public and parks and recreational facilities. Bankshot provides an accessible walk-on, drop-in facility or wherever it's set up. There's no need for staff, appointments, advance arrangements. Families of all sizes and abilities can participate, actually side by side, if they wish. We want to invite every citizen in Rockville to try it out because it's accessible to all and capable of being used by everyone. We provided visual and written evidence previously. It's available to the council, and I'm not going to rehash any of that. The important thing is that there should be more community outreach to differently abled and typically underserved members of the community. Again, we're not going to show the photographs and so forth. There aren't enough facilities in this community, this city, and we're really advocating more, not what was mentioned, tearing down what exists. There's a compelling need for publicly supported recreational departments to institute and expand programs and events that are suitable for our differently able citizens. Bankshot basketball courts are really all over the country, and they're abroad. They invite the inclusion of participants with disabilities and enable individuals to play together as families. Actually, Bankshot sports courts offer an inexpensive and valuable starting point for renewed emphasis on inclusion and do not require the elimination of any facility. If the city takes the affirmative measures that we're advocating for more diversity, our entire community will benefit. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. My name is Ernest Maynard Moore. I am a retired United Methodist clergy and serve as president of Wesley Nexus. And in a volunteer capacity, I serve as the business manager for the Interplay Orchestra at Strathmore. The Interplay organization is 30 years old and is a county-based organization that brings together musicians and performers of atypical abilities, differently abled and others with cognitive challenges. These are musically inclined persons for the who integrate their musical play in the orchestra with composed limitless and unlimited performers. So we're here to take note of the correspondence between Interplay Orchestra at Strathmore and Bankshot Basketball. Both these organizations provides outreach to individuals so underserved and otherwise ignored. The Interplay Orchestra and Bankshot are correspondingly similar in purpose, proposing that we not separate or segregate or marginalize persons of different abilities. Putting the matter more positively, both methods of interplay could be strengthened and supported in our communities. So this approach contrasts sharply with exclusionary classes now provided by the City of Rockville, as written up in the Rockville Recreation Guide, in particular the many ball-playing sports offered by the City of Rockville, where there is no interplay and no socialization at all between persons with disabilities and persons otherwise able. The community I work with is excluded from such activities. I invite you to see the performances of the Interplay Orchestra at Strathmore to see how integration and socialization occurs in the world of music and entertainment. And I also invite you to see a Bankshot play court to see where individuals with autism and individuals with mobility impairment and others with disabilities participate together whenever the mood strikes, without any programs or events or classes necessary for those who are wanting to play. So I just note too, in Virginia, one of our Interplay members is taking his entire basketball team to the Bankshot court in the city of Manassas at an elementary school there, adjacent to a public playground. And this is a perfect example of the way Interplay and Bankshot work together. Everybody on his team is so enthusiastic about being able to participate in an activity like this and socialize. I know Michael Taff Award was given to Rabbi Brenner and was much deserved, but I hope that the city of Rockville will not allow the Bankshot basketball courts that are here to be disassembled, and that the city of Rockville will continue to do more for those who are differently abled. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mark Rose, to be followed by Dr. Daniel Hack and Steve Sugg.
I'm Mark. I'll only take about 30 seconds of your time.
That's okay.
I can't add much to what Rabbi Brenner said. I'm newly recruited for this. I'm a reporter by background and by career choice. This is all about including those who are usually excluded from sports and allowing them to play for enjoyment rather than competition. Okay? If they can't play for enjoyment, what's the good of sports? And what's the good of having a basketball court built? I'm also a grammarian, and anyhow. Allow it and spend some money on it. It's not a waste of money. It's good for the community. It's good for people who wouldn't ordinarily get to play these sports like basketball or any of the other major sports. I play tennis. I don't have to play competitively against everybody I play, though you get farther if you do. Anyhow, allow this, spend some money, build more courts, and let's make it as close to a universal endeavor as we can. That's all I can tell you.
Thank you so much.